Emma walked into my house, and the gears of fate began to turn once more. I sat on the sofa, watching the timid girl, realizing that I had been reborn.
Hello, Uncle and Auntie, hello, brothers. Thank you for taking me in. If brother doesn't like me, I can leave any time, right?
Before I could react, Blackie, who had been lying at my feet, suddenly jumped up and rushed to Emma, barking loudly. Weighing 25 kilograms, Blackie looked imposing when angry, immediately scaring Emma. She kept hiding behind my brother John, tears in her eyes.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm not here to disrupt this family, I'm here to join it. If you don't welcome me, I'll leave right away. Please don't let the dog scare me, sob sob.
Hearing her affected voice, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Emma was a poor student our family sponsored. She had decent grades, and the county teacher wrote to my parents, hoping she could come to the city for a better education. Moved by the teacher's sincere request, my parents couldn't refuse and, after careful consideration, brought Emma back, asking me to take care of her. In my previous life, I did my best to help her, but she was never satisfied. She not only falsely accused me of assaulting her, took my guaranteed admission spot, but also tried to replace me. I lost everything and finally found evidence to prove my innocence, only to discover that she and John had conspired against me and had me eliminated. A truck ran over me, ending my life. I was in unbearable pain, with no one to turn to, and ultimately became a lifeless body. After my death, I learned that Blackie hadn't gone missing but had been cruelly killed by her. But I was blind and foolish, believing her lies and failing to avenge Blackie. Suppressing the hatred in my eyes, I patted Blackie's head. Blackie is well trained, very alert, good boy.
Looks like the money spent was worth it. Blackie is a qualified guard dog.
Hearing this, my parents nodded in agreement.
Emma, don't be afraid. Maybe your aura doesn't match the family's, it will get better over time.
Indeed, Emma's rustic appearance naturally didn't match the family. Seeing this, she bit her lip, tears in her eyes, but didn't dare to retort. She looked at me pitifully.
Brother, do you really dislike me? Blackie listens to you the most. If it weren't for you calling it.
She trailed off, silently crying, on the verge of tears. I raised a mop beside me and pointed it at her face. Crying, crying, crying. You come to my house and cry, all the good fortune in the house will be cried away by you.
Alex, you're too much.
John began to scold me as he looked at Emma, who was crying pitifully. However, the smell of the mop on her face almost made him faint. His eyes also showed a hint of disdain. Seeing this, Emma's gaze towards me was filled with resentment. I, however, remained indifferent and quickly apologized with a smile.
Sorry, I can't stand seeing girls cry. When they do, I tend to act impulsively. I'll be more careful next time.
With that, I led Blackie upstairs. That night, John brought Emma to cause trouble, demanding that I give up my room for her. It made sense. My room was close to John's, making it convenient for them. Since they came to me, I decided to oblige.
Sure, I'll move tomorrow. Consider it my apology to Emma.
John's face showed a moment of surprise at my compliance, but he quickly masked it. The next day, news of my room change spread quickly. With guests at home, everyone knew that the sponsored student couldn't stay in the guest room, so I gave up my room for her. One guest made a veiled comment.
For those who know, she's a sponsored student. For those who don't, they might think she's a young lady from a wealthy family.
Michael and Linda's expressions changed slightly. I smoothed things over with a smile.
Emma hasn't had an easy life. It's only right for me to make some concessions.
In my room, I installed a hidden camera. I hoped Emma and John wouldn't disappoint me. After the guests left, Linda praised me for being considerate, showing less warmth towards Emma. Michael, however, only made a few light comments, his tone revealing a hint of concern. I was momentarily taken aback. Michael, being a businessman, rarely showed concern for others. But I didn't dwell on it. That night, John indeed sneaked into Emma's room. As soon as the door closed, Emma hugged him, acting coy.
John, what should I do? I think I messed up today. Will Auntie dislike me? How will I deal with Alex then?
My mom cares most about appearances. Don't worry, you're a guest. She won't say anything to you. As for Alex, I have a plan to deal with him once and for all.
He laid out his plan. It involved Emma attempting to allure me to catch me in a compromising position. If seduction failed, they would stage a scene to make it look like I was harassing Emma. I coldly watched my own brother, pondering for a long time, unable to understand why he would treat me this way.
John, once Alex is out of the house, they'll definitely leave the family assets to you. You can't forget my contribution then. You promised to marry me.
With that, she kissed him passionately. Their entangled bodies were an eyesore. I saved the footage but didn't watch it again.
Just wait, you two. This time, I'll show you how I play the game.
A week later, it was time for school to start. During dinner, John proposed placing Emma in my class. He wanted Emma to ruin my reputation from within, making everyone around me believe the worst about me, ensuring I couldn't clear my name. It was a good plan.
Sarcastic, but I'm in the advanced class. Can Emma keep up?
I smiled, a hint of sarcasm in my voice.
Serious, yesterday, I ran into one of Emma's teachers from her county. They said her grades were consistently poor, always at the bottom, but someone insisted on bringing her to the city. How strange.
I lowered my gaze, observing everyone's reactions from the corner of my eye. My mom looked surprised, John seemed nervous, and my dad, surprisingly, appeared a bit guilty. Wasn't Emma brought by John to deal with me? Could there be some connection with my dad?
Angry, what's so strange? Are you suspecting Emma of something?
Serious, not suspecting Emma, just worried someone might be targeting our family.
Angry, nonsense. You're so young yet so scheming? Emma is smart and can naturally keep up with the advanced class. Serious, but the class is full of wealthy kids. Take her shopping tomorrow and pick out some good clothes. Don't embarrass our family.
Serious, got it.
Emma wanted to refuse, but John nudged her arm, and she remained silent. Sure enough, during shopping the next day, she frequently tried to make physical contact with me. Every time she picked an outfit and the store clerk complimented it, she would almost cry.
Whispering, brother doesn't like me wearing this.
This made the clerk look at me strangely.
Pained, sorry, ma'am. My sister just came from the countryside and lacks confidence. Friendly, how about this, gather all those clothes. Ouch, it hurts. Ma'am, is there a pharmacy nearby? I'm feeling unwell.
Hearing this, the clerk looked at Emma awkwardly, muttering under her breath.
Unfriendly. Why does the sister seem a bit manipulative?
She pointed me in the direction of the pharmacy, and as I left, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter seeing Emma's frustrated expression. I didn't go far. Hiding in a corner, I saw John arrive. He even patted Emma's backside, and they acted like a couple in love. I raised my phone and captured their actions clearly. Afterward, I wet my hair, pretending to rush back in a hurry. As soon as I arrived, I saw Emma coming out in a designer red dress. She was petite, and the dress almost swallowed her whole. It looked like a child wearing adult clothes. To top it off, she wore a pair of green crystal high heels. Her overly dramatic makeup almost made me burst out laughing.
Serious, Emma, your fashion sense is truly unique.
She wore a large gold chain around her neck, looking like a nouveau riche, making me gape in astonishment. That day, I took Emma, dressed in her gaudy outfit, to school. Her exaggerated attire attracted a lot of attention, and some even posted her picture on the school wall. At this moment, a wealthy friend approached with a smile. Emma quickly stepped forward, trying to act shy.
Shy, hello, brother, I am.
Cheerful. Alex, is this real-life country bumpkin your companion?
Everyone burst into laughter. Emma blushed deeply.
Brother, you told me to wear this outfit, and now you let your friends mock me. What do you mean by that? Just because we're from the countryside, does that mean we deserve to be ridiculed by you wealthy people?
Yes, you have money, but we have dignity too. So what if you have a few bucks?
Emma choked on her words. After all, her outfit was worth a fortune.
You bought those clothes from my family's store. Do you think I'm blind? The store clerk said a nouveau riche came in, picking the most expensive items. I didn't believe it until I saw it was you.
Everyone burst into laughter, and Emma ran off crying. I couldn't be bothered with her. Soon, she returned, acting as if nothing had happened, trying to cling to me again. My friend pushed her away. Left with no choice, she sat in the middle of the class. After that, Emma shamelessly followed me around school like a little sidekick, her demeanor timid and anxious, as if she couldn't leave my side. I decided not to give her any more opportunities to create drama and took a week off. During this time, many friends messaged me.
You need to come back. Emma is bad-mouthing you in class every day. She says her poor fashion sense was your idea and that you're emotionally neglecting her to control her. Now many people misunderstand you.
I didn't bother explaining. It wasn't time to return yet. Emma was working hard to tarnish my reputation. If I quickly undid her efforts, wouldn't that be a waste of her and John's scheming? Emma's plan was progressing smoothly, and she grew more confident, starting to act out at home. One day, when my parents came home from work, she quickly began to perform.
Uncle, Aunt, you're back. I'll clean up right away.
I said nothing but was immediately criticized by my parents.
Alex, how can you sit in the living room watching TV while your sister does the chores? Is this a brother's duty?
Yeah, it looks like you have no manners. Are you bullying Emma?
In my past life, after being scolded, I was forced to help, only to have Emma accidentally burn my arm. She claimed it was a mark from resisting my coercion.
I accidentally recorded Emma while filming the game. She only started doing chores when she heard you come in.
Emma's face turned ashen. Michael and Linda, who had been defending Emma, now had a subtle expression. Emma stood there awkwardly.
It's not like that, actually.
Seeing she couldn't continue her act, John frowned and quickly spoke up.
Alex, stop making excuses. Emma is helping out of goodwill. She can start whenever she wants. How can you be so picky?
Brother, it seems like you're always protecting Emma. Did something happen between you two?
John's face immediately turned unnatural.
Don't talk nonsense. I'm just looking out for my sister.
I was too hasty earlier. I didn't mean to criticize you. Since you want to help, could you also iron my clothes?
This time, Michael and Linda said nothing, but Emma looked troubled. After all, this was just her way of driving a wedge between Alex and his parents. In reality, she didn't know how to iron clothes. But with everyone watching, Emma had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk into the wardrobe. Alex watched TV seriously outside. Moments later, Emma let out a scream. John was the first to rush over. Emma was clutching her arm, lying on the floor. A blister had formed on her wrist.
If the table isn't flat, the iron will definitely fall.
Emma cried in pain, and John was heartbroken.
Quick, take her to the hospital. What if it leaves a scar?
Hearing this, Emma cried even louder. After treating the wound, the atmosphere in the car on the way home was tense. As soon as they got out of the car, John punched Alex. Alex didn't dodge, looking at him with grievance.
Brother, why did you hit me?
If you hadn't forced Emma to do chores, she wouldn't have such a long scar.
He protected Emma tightly behind him, as if someone would harm her.
This has nothing to do with me. Brother is just too biased.
Michael and Linda hesitated but eventually sighed.
Alex, boys should take responsibility. Emma's delicate skin is ruined now. John is a bit emotional, but it's understandable.
Brother and Emma are so close, it seems to go beyond normal sibling affection. Don't you have any thoughts on that? Parents being too biased can also cause harm. Don't take your own child's feelings lightly.
Their faces showed awkwardness. Before Michael and Linda could find an excuse, Alex turned and walked into his room. After what happened in his past life, Alex understood that for these heartless parents, saving face was more important than anything. He had no expectations from them. The reason he spoke out was to gain some leverage for his future. Soon, they would face their own consequences. The next day, I returned to class. With John's help, Emma quickly found her footing. As soon as I walked in, someone approached her with concern.
Emma, what happened to your arm?
You said you were going to have a good weekend on Friday, but now you're all bandaged up.
Emma didn't answer but looked at me with some fear.
It's nothing, really. It's my own fault for not being careful.
The way my classmates looked at me changed immediately. Some of them, influenced by Emma, started making snide remarks.
Alex seems very dissatisfied with his sponsored sister. Didn't he always say he treated Emma harshly?
She must have gone through something unspeakable.
Emma looked aggrieved.
You misunderstand.
Her explanation only made things worse. But I wasn't mute, I could defend myself.
Emma, are you blaming me?
I clearly articulated my rebuttal.
You said you wanted to help the family with ironing and assured us you could handle it. I advised you many times, and you promised it wouldn't be a problem. Now that something happened, you're blaming me?
Everyone is misunderstanding me now. Are you so scheming that you want to drive me out of the family?
Seeing my confident attitude, my classmates fell silent. Realizing she had no advantage, Emma broke down instantly. Her eyes welled up, ready to cry.
For the first time, my parents scolded me, and my brother hit me, all because of your misleading words. Are you trying to ruin me?
Men rarely cry unless pushed to the brink. Emma was so shocked she forgot how to react. At this moment, a few of my good friends came over to fan the flames.
Alex is usually such a good person, but he's been driven to tears. Are we sure Emma isn't the problem?
Is she trying to marry into the family and take the inheritance? Otherwise, why would she act like this?
With the momentum on my side, those who had supported Emma now fell silent. I seized the opportunity to state my position.
Emma, I know we don't get along, but please stop hurting me. I just want to study in peace.
After this incident, Emma remained quiet for a while. With the college entrance exams approaching, I focused all my energy on studying, aiming to secure a spot in the graduate program like in my previous life. Seeing me excel, Emma grew anxious.
I didn't understand this concept, Alex. Can you help me?
Seeing her pitiful expression, I remained unmoved. She gritted her teeth.
I know you have some misunderstandings about me. I'm sorry, it was my fault before. If necessary, I'll kneel and apologize.
Some onlookers gathered around, eager for drama. I crossed my arms and smiled at her.
All right.
Emma didn't expect me to agree and stood there, stunned. I shook my head.
The past is the past. Why do you keep bringing it up? Emma, I don't know if you really want my help or if you're just trying to stir up trouble. If no one else was around, would you say I'm bullying you again?
Emma's eyes filled with tears.
You misunderstand. I just want to improve our relationship. I'm just a girl from the countryside, trying to get by in the city. Maybe I'm too insecure. But if kneeling will make you forgive me, I have no reason to refuse.
Emma's legs buckled. Just then, a loud shout came from outside the door. John stepped in front of me, shielding Emma.
Alex, you're going too far, bullying her like this. With such poor conduct, how could Mom and Dad not be disappointed in you?
This time, I didn't need to speak up. My classmates standing nearby defended me.
How can you scold someone without knowing the full story?
No matter what, Alex is your brother. What are you trying to do?
John was momentarily speechless, awkwardly forcing out a sentence.
Emma is also part of our family.
What kind of person? Not a family member, right?
Everyone burst into laughter, and John and Emma couldn't help but start cursing in anger. Their eyes held a hint of malice, just like the day I was kicked out of the house. Suddenly, I felt a bit suspicious. In my previous life, after being forced to give up my guaranteed admission spot, I had a car accident. But was that really an accident? Before the college entrance exams, I performed exceptionally well in several mock tests and once again earned a guaranteed admission spot. The principal announced this news in front of all the students. Emma stood beside me, her eyes filled with resentment, just like in my previous life. I suddenly turned my head, startling her. She raised her hand to cover her arm, where an unhealed scar was still oozing pus. When I got home, before I could announce the news, Emma suddenly started crying. Her voice was sorrowful, as if something terrible had happened. John quickly played along.
Emma, what's wrong? Did someone bully you?
As he said this, he kept glancing at me. My parents were also puzzled.
If you've been wronged, just tell us. We'll stand up for you.
I silently watched Emma's performance. She took a deep breath and suddenly lunged towards the wall.
What's going on?
My parents were startled and quickly stopped her.
What happened? Tell us.
Emma looked extremely distressed, constantly glancing at me with a fearful expression, causing my parents to scrutinize me repeatedly. My dad couldn't help but scold me a few times. Seeing him protect Emma so fervently, I suddenly felt a bit puzzled. Why was he so biased towards a stranger? Suppressing my discomfort, I placed the admission notice on the table. My mom picked it up, her face lighting up with joy.
That's great! Our son can get into Tsinghua University.
My dad's expression changed, but before he could celebrate, Emma started crying again.
Why are you crying when you hear my good news?
You've had elite education for so many years. Getting into Tsinghua is easy for you. I've struggled for so long and can't even make it to the top 3. My future is ruined.
If that's the case, I might as well have lived in a small town from the beginning. Emma's words instantly silenced everyone. My dad cleared his throat.
Since the notice doesn't have specific information, why not let Emma go?
In my previous life, he said the exact same thing. John quickly agreed.
Yes, Alex's grades are excellent. He can still get good results in the college entrance exams.
The principal announced this news in front of the whole school. Do you think everyone else is stupid?
Emma looked at me pitifully.
Then you can explain the situation to the school. After all, you're a star student, they won't easily refuse you.
The same old argument. I retorted directly.
You're not even a member of the family. Why should I care about your fate?
I returned to my room, hearing Emma's sobs and my dad's angry scolding from outside. After securing this spot, I no longer needed to attend school. But surprisingly, Emma also stayed home waiting for me.
Alex, I advise you to give up the spot, or else don't blame me for being harsh.
She revealed her true colors with no one else at home.
See this pregnancy test report? If you don't agree, I'll not only tell Uncle and Aunt you forced me, but I'll expose you online, ruining everything for you.
Looking at her menacing face, I smiled slightly.
Really? What evidence do you have?
Emma smugly tossed her hair.
Though you act calm, I know you're scared. Let me tell you, I've taken many photos during this time, the kind that will ruin you completely if revealed. Better surrender, or else.
Do as you please, but I won't give up.
Seeing her persuasion fail, Emma gritted her teeth and left, saying I'd regret it. I silently watched her retreating figure. Since discovering these two often sneaking around at home, I created many opportunities for them to be alone. Until recently, when Emma suddenly gagged at the dinner table, I knew the time was right. I collected her DNA, preparing a surprise for her. I didn't believe that my business-minded father would sacrifice his promising son for a rural girl. So, I spent some time conducting this test. When I saw the results, my heart pounded. So, this was the reason. On the other hand, Emma and John, thinking they were flawless, had long lowered their guard against me. Now, they were entirely focused on each other, their minds filled with thoughts of love. I deliberately created more space to distract them. The college entrance exams were approaching. I didn't relent, and Emma grew restless. She anxiously hinted to John. After another dinner, John brought up the issue of the recommendation again.
Mom, Dad, the exams are coming up. What should Emma do?
I pretended not to hear and prepared to leave. My father glanced at me several times before finally speaking up.
Alex, what's your stance on this?
Tomorrow night is my birthday. Let's discuss it after the celebration. I promise to make everyone satisfied.
Though it wasn't the answer they expected, seeing my change in attitude, my father couldn't press further. I smiled at the worried Emma.
I hope you like the surprise I have prepared.
I had good social connections, and many people came to my birthday party. Emma had put a lot of effort into dressing up, as if she were the star of the event.
Uncle insisted I dress like this. Alex, you won't be mad, right?
I looked at her rounded waist, emphasized by her fitted dress, and shook my head.
No problem.
Just as Emma was about to smile, I added.
You've gained a lot of weight recently. Even if you want to pretend to be a rich girl, it's quite a stretch.
After saying that, I turned and left, leaving Emma fuming. Actually, she should indeed dress nicely. After all, today was her final show. When it was time to cut the cake, I deliberately called Emma to the stage.
I have something very important to announce, and it is closely related to Emma, so I decided to have her up here.
Michael and John were overjoyed and urged Emma to come up quickly. She suddenly looked uneasy, frowning as if worried about something. Under everyone's gaze, Emma had no choice but to step up.
This is premium animal cream. Give it a try.
Emma's face turned pale, holding the cake with both hands, trying hard to endure. But with so many people recording with their phones, how could she show her vulnerability? After taking just one bite, Emma covered her mouth and gagged. She immediately threw the cake on the ground. The crowd started whispering.
What's wrong? Isn't this your favorite cake? I specially chose it based on your taste.
After saying this, I turned to everyone and loudly announced.
Don't be alarmed, everyone. The reason Emma is reacting this way is because she is expecting.
Emma's face turned ashen. She didn't expect me to be unafraid of threats and even exposed this matter myself. She immediately lunged at me, trying to hit me.
Do you have a death wish? Do you believe I won't reveal everything right now?
I sidestepped her attack.
What do you want to reveal? Your affair with my brother?
John was stunned on the spot upon hearing my words. Before he could react, Michael roared. He then grabbed John and started beating him furiously.
You beast, how could you do such a thing? I'll beat you to death.
The scene was chaotic. The huge cake was knocked over. Linda tried to intervene but failed, so she hurriedly tried to disperse the crowd. But everyone was eager to watch the drama unfold. Who would listen to her? Besides, I couldn't let them off the hook so easily. I picked up the microphone and cleared my throat. At this moment, John hid behind Linda, shouting in panic.
Mom, Dad has gone completely mad. He actually hit me. Emma and I are in love. Why can't we just get married?
I couldn't help but laugh.
Brother, it seems your wish won't come true.
With that, I displayed the investigation results on the projector. The genetic test results were shown to everyone. I patiently explained.
These are the test results for Emma and Michael. Their genetic relationship is 99%. In other words, Emma is a biological daughter of the whole family. You two can't get married.
Emma never dreamed that the wealthy father and wealthy husband she wanted were actually from the same family. Now, John was completely unsettled.
This is all Alex's framing. He is the one who actually harmed Emma. I have evidence, and I'll prove it to you now.
I kicked him away and presented the evidence I had collected over the past few months.
Instead of looking at your staged photos, this is more substantial.
Seeing the passionate kissing scenes on the screen, Linda screamed and, in a breakdown, grabbed the cake knife and charged at Michael. The scene was chaotic. John stood there, dazed, as if all his strength and means had been drained.
Haha, so I am a rich man's daughter too. I don't have to envy others anymore.
John moved his fingers, clutching his head in agony.
No, this is all fake. It's a trap.
Emma's expression changed, and she rushed at him, screaming.
You can't get away so easily. After all the suffering I've endured, you must compensate me.
I watched the farce coldly, a sneer in my heart.
You cheater! How could you betray me?
You dared to bring your illegitimate daughter home. I treated her so well, it's disgusting.
Listening to her anguished screams, I tilted my head. Perhaps Linda didn't care about my feelings, only the fear of being betrayed by her husband. The group tore at each other like mad dogs for a while. In the struggle, John accidentally pushed Emma down the stairs. The floor was stained red. Emma was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, and John was detained for intentional harm. The child couldn't be saved. After that, the party ended. Linda and Michael had a huge fight, and Michael stormed out.
What man can say he's never made a mistake in his life? I've realized my mistake. Why do you have to be so unforgiving?
Linda sat in the living room, crying uncontrollably. She looked at me with hope.
Alex, you are my last hope. You won't abandon me, will you?
I didn't respond. When she showed favoritism, she never considered that I was her support. Now, what right did she have to ask me to stay? Linda frowned, about to scold me, when her phone rang. After the call, she fainted. It took me a long time to get her to the hospital. The doctor said she had lost consciousness. At my insistence, they performed surgery. I stood outside the ICU, where the three members of the family lay side by side. The phone call was simple. Emma, waking up to find her face disfigured from the fall, blamed Michael for not telling her the truth. She ambushed him outside our house, and as he stepped out, she ran him over, just as she had done to me in a past life. I spent the entire summer after my college entrance exams in the hospital with them. Emma succumbed to injuries sustained in the crash. Michael was paralyzed, and Linda became comatose. I arranged for them to live together, glaring at each other in resentment every day. With that, the family was essentially broken. I inherited all the family assets, leaving a portion for my parents' care, and prepared to head to Tsinghua University. Before leaving, I visited John in prison. He was no longer the proud young master of the family, now with a buzz cut, emaciated and aged by years.
John, are you really Michael and Linda's son? How could you be so ruthless to your own brother? Was the car accident in my past life your doing?
Something in my words seemed to trigger him. He stared at me, trembling, screaming about ghosts, clawing at his face until the guards dragged him away. I turned and left. Walking out of the prison gates, I felt light and free. In this life, I had won completely. With John mentally broken, I no longer feared any retaliation. From now on, I could live my life earnestly with Blackie by my side.